I mean, they still do over $500,000 a year in business just from that one film. As I said in the beginning, all we want is our own field of dreams. That's why we said if we build it, they will come. People traipse to the cornfield in Iowa. Damn, they can come here and see what we can do. All right, we'll take your questions.
Yeah, great. And for the benefit of Michigan government television and the viewers there, if you would repeat the question briefly, that would help a lot. All right, it's not quite time to call cut, but because we do have 15 minutes, we have opportunities, and we invite comment, opinion, and questions. Okay, I'll start. What is a grip? I'm a sucker for reading credits.
A grip does, so the question is, what is a grip? And a grip is a person on the crew who works with lighting, but they work with the non-electrical aspect of it. Gaffers work with the electrical aspect, and grips work with the non-electrical. So you have to put up light stands or put up diffusion material or gels or those kinds of things, or move that equipment around.
Thank you.
You got it.
Okay.
Always wanted to know.
And now, what's a best boy?
Yes, I was saving that one up.
What's that? A dolly grip. What is a dolly grip? A dolly grip actually pushes the dolly, and the dolly is the little wheeled vehicle that the camera person is on. But let's
Best boy.
Best boy, though.
Best boy is going to typically be in charge of the other grips or gaffers. So they work with the gaffers and grips, and they're gonna run the crew.
Wow. There will be a test.
Yes, this gentleman was first up.
Jim, I just want to thank you for everything you've done for not only the University of Michigan, but for the state of Michigan. You did a great job, and actually both of you done a great job for the students and everything. But I do have a question on your, is there an organization, like a website to go to that you can get involved with this? Because I think the first time around, everybody was kind of asking, you know, how can I get involved, and how are we going to educate, let's say, the general public, let's say the farmer in Bay City, or the dentist in Ann Arbor, or whatever. How can we get the general public educated on what film business brings to Michigan?
It's a great question, Jim, and if you go to the bottom, amendonend.org, we see our website where we try to keep that information out there. And, you know, hopefully we can create some excitement in the House and Senate.
Woman?
What kind of reception have you been getting so far in this proposal with the elected officials?
Well, there's always stuff going on behind the scenes in Lansing, you know, through lobbying efforts, through promoting. You know, you hear certain things. You hear that there may be, you know, a bill coming out. What that bill will be, I don't know. That goes beyond the 25 million. What I will tell you is, if you see a bill, 25 million cannot work. The reason is simple. We built a major league program, and we even have a major league stadium in Raleigh Studios. But if all we have is 25 million, then everybody in the Michigan film community just assumes, well, that'll go to Raleigh Studios, and they won't be able to survive. So now you have the worst of all worlds, and there'll be nothing around the rest of the state. So we're, as I said, a victim of our success. The Oz movie that's being done, the incentive they'll get off of that will be, you know, I'm not an accountant, but I can do the math, it'll be around $40 million. So that's one movie. And then, you know, goodbye. If that's all there is, nothing for Grand Rapids, nothing for Ann Arbor, nothing for Detroit, nothing for Traverse City, no location shoots, no independent films, and worse yet, no video games. Because that's the sleeping giant of the entire entertainment industry. And those are year-round full-time jobs. And there's more money in that sector, and will be, than the other two combined.
Larry, you had your hand.
Does your effort go beyond movie films as such, and include also internet kinds of things, like video magazines? magazines and things like that?
It includes, as I said, digital production and video games. We are trying to bring commercials back into the mix. They're originally in the mix, but Treasury read the bill in a way that said they weren't, whereas people like Representative Huizenga said, oh, yes, they were, you know, I helped write that bill. But so we're trying to, you know, do justice to those kinds of folks, too. You know, there's reality television. There's certain things that aren't allowed, you know, live shows, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, and just a thought, I'm thinking about movies like On the Waterfront through Migrant Workers in California and Michael Moore movie here. Why not consider this instead of having this sense of like, well, now we may have to give this up. This is the opportune time with your new group and your cohort coming in with your graduate program to make a film about this. I mean, I just have to believe that if people heard what you said today, there would be some way to reverse this. I really believe that. I don't think there would be very few people, you know, it doesn't matter if partisan line or where you stand economically, and I just offer that.
Well, I think it's a great idea that maybe we should have, you know, do a documentary about what's happened. That's the, and I should say, you know, Michael Moore relocated to Traverse City. And, you know, Michael Moore, you know, he might be a controversial figure, but there's no controversy in Traverse City what he's done for that community economically. He has single-handedly brought that, you know, State Street with that theater. It's like the center of town. It's phenomenal, you know. In terms of swaying public opinion, part of the problem is that people, even our elected leaders, don't really understand the program and what, beyond the present tense, and what it means in terms of the future. I don't think they realize how big the entertainment industry is and how it's one of the very few things left that America produces, makes, manufactures, and leads the world in. This is an international, global business with phenomenal growth. The digital economy changes everything. You can be on the moon and create content for the internet. Why not keep them in Michigan? That's our goal.
Why not make a documentary saying exactly that and showing it in America? That's just right. I think.
Thank you. Robert, get to work.
Okay. Yes.
Where is Albert Patterson stand?
He's for it.
Because of Raleigh. But you mentioned also there are film studios in Holland, certainly not a hotbed of liberalism in the state of Michigan.
Right.
So again, it seems to me those folks would have a vested interest.
They do.
In going behind the scenes. And certainly Craig spent his entire career working on, you know, issues like this and moving things forward. Today was the first time I had heard anything about this or the whole idea of the Pure Michigan logo. I come from a community where our hometown newspaper has been vociferously opposed to the film incentives in Livingston County. And it's amazing. But it seems to me it's a very narrow picture, and I'm wondering politically, and I realize the University of Michigan, you're in a somewhat unique position, being at the faculty, how much you can do politically, but there are others who can do things, and certainly feel the importance of this kind of thing, and when we see a facility like Raleigh, my God, you know.
Yeah, it's difficult, and I will say this: it's not made easier by a thing called term limits. When you have to start over every 6 years, it seems, and you know, re-explain the wheel, it's tough. But I will tell you, I have met some very good people who didn't necessarily agree with me, but open-minded, and I think understand. I mean, I was on TV I wouldn't say yelling, but we had a interesting exchange with Majority Whip Pete Lund. But afterwards, he said, hey, come have a cup of coffee with me. So we met out in, Shelby Township where he is. And we had an interesting exchange. And I think he has a very open mind. I think there are a lot of people who have an open mind on this. But is it politically feasible given what, everything that's going on? I will tell you this. What does the program cost? It costs 1 mile of road costs $1 million in the state of Michigan. So in the first year we did this, we spent about $40 million in 2008 in incentives. It's 40 miles of road. Boy, we got a lot of publicity for 40 miles. I kept saying, show me the 40 miles in Michigan that brings this much good feeling and this much publicity to our state. I'll drive it all day long. But, Hollywood being Hollywood, it's a great magnet for political opposition. I've heard people say, I don't want my money going to Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks doesn't need your money, folks. We want Tom Hanks to come spend his money here, or Clint Eastwood. Come on. This has been great, especially for our kids. Future is what, and my eyes were open to this simply by doing it. If we could keep these kids here, my God.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on what the governor's position is on this as you understand it?
His position, as I understand it, is...
The question was about the governor's position.
What's the governor's position? My position, as I understand it, is that Governor Snyder is opposed to incentives of any kind. He does not believe in picking winners and losers. I respect that. That is a philosophical argument worth making. The problem is, you can't have this program now. We had a program that didn't pick winners and losers. But now we're going to have a program that he's proposing that you would put $25 million into a grant, and the government has no choice but to pick winners and losers. Worse yet, from my opinion, they've now come up with this idea that they will have an incentive, maybe, let's say, up to 40 or 42%, depending on what they decide. So one project, maybe we'll give you 10%. Maybe we'll give you 20%. You want to know what a disaster that is? What I always say is, show me one state that has that model, okay? Indiana, and it failed. You can't copy programs that fail. And if you really don't want to pick winners and losers, then don't get in that business of saying, well, you're politically connected, so you're going to get the money. Because, let's face it, that's the way politics works. I believe the governor was right. Don't pick winners and losers. Keep an open incentive program. That's my position. I believe the governor is right. The goals, I totally agree with. Create jobs, build infrastructure, reverse the brain drain, revitalize Detroit. I think that's our program. So I want to support the governor in fulfilling his goals. I would love to talk to the governor.
Yes.
Hi. First of all, as an aspiring member of the young creative class who would very much like to revitalize the state, I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you're doing. And I would just like to know, more specifically, how can we get involved and help keep this thing alive? Because I was at, the big rally at the Laurel Manor, was it?
Right.
And I'd like to be there and present support, but how can we?
Write your state rep, write your state senator, go have coffee with them. They have coffee hours. These are all things I've learned. Sit down with them, tell them you're young, talented, and want to stay in this state. It means something. The summer kind of things will slow down now. In the fall, we'll see where the bill or what bill might be out there. Study up. Yeah.
I got time for one last question. This gentleman in blue.
Hi.
Whoops.
I think you're doing a great thing putting the three universities together in your consortium. And could you comment as to whether that may have any advantages to try to